Here again is Stone Phillips.
Remember when saving the rainforest and ending world hunger were the fashionable celebrity causes? Well, nothing quite compares to the star-studded stunts and outrageous tactics of one animal rights group. Elizabeth Vargas talked to the man who started the fur flying, most notably when he convinced some of the world's top supermodels to take it all off for free.
Movement is here!
It's everywhere, parading in the streets, storming into offices, demonstrating, confronting, all in the name of animal rights. Supermodels are lending their bodies.
I'm Alec Baldwin.
Hi, I'm Mike Farrell.
Celebrities are lending their names.
I'm Katie Lang and this is Lulu. If you knew how meat was made, you'd lose your lunch.
It's now a hip cause, a hot trend, thanks largely to the efforts of one man.
It's helping keep the message alive and keep the message in people's faces.
We'd rather go naked than wear fur!
Meet 30-year-old Dan Mathews. He is a man with a message in any language.
Killing innocent animals for a luxury item is despicable. È una cosa molto crude. People are outraged. As individuals, we can make a very big statement. Animals aren't here just to serve us. They have families. They feel pain. They feel pleasure. And we have no right to interfere and abuse them. Okay.
And he means every animal. Mathews is not just against skinning minks to make fur coats. He's against causing discomfort to any living creature. From the traumatized bee smoked out of its hive for its honey, to the bruised sheep sheared for its wool, to the battered goose plucked for its down.
You are anti-fur.
Yes.
Anti-leather.
Yes.
Anti-wool. Anti-silk.
It's not this simple.
You're anti-down. Anti-meat. Anti-poultry. Anti-dairy products. Anti-honey. You're against medical testing using animals.
The thing is that people don't get the proper message, and I think that's a shame.
But why would you be uncomfortable with me simply listing what you are against?
Because it's unfair, because it gives people the idea that we're against it without giving them the reason that we're against it. We have investigated how animals are raised and killed in most industries. Some of it's worse than others, but we find that whenever animals are used by a business, corners are cut, and the animals suffer as a result.
We is the People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals, PETA for short. You've probably heard of them. They're the ones who recruited models to pose naked.
Fashion is the fashion! Fur is dead!
And made news raiding fur designers' offices.
Designer of death!
Of course, the press made quite a big deal out of it, which I think...
The press made a big deal out of it because you called the press and told them to come along.
Oh, yeah. No, I have no quibbles with the press. I thought they did a great job. Morning. How you doing?
In fact, Mathews admits using the media, and PETA has never had more coverage. That's what's made PETA the new pet cause. PETA now claims a membership of 400,000 and an annual budget of $12 million.
You know, I wanted to ask this Dan one thing.
Just 5 years ago, Mathews was answering phones for PETA. Today, people are calling him.
Dan Mathews,
Thanks very much
the director of PETA.
As director of PETA's international campaigns, this former model and history major from Costa Mesa, California, now travels around the world, fighting for his furry and feathered friends. And while most of PETA's campaigns target fur,
they are just so fascinating.
The staff reaches out to almost every corner of the animal kingdom.
When I look into a chicken's eye, it's just as if I was looking into a cow's eyes, or a dog's eyes, or a child's eyes. I see a sensitive individual who is capable of feeling pain and capable of feeling pleasure.
Late night, in a Los Angeles motel, a PETA undercover investigator shows Mathews 13 sick chickens she's bought from a poultry farm.
Their bodies have been altered to grow to massive sizes, to get more bird for the buck.
They're turning animals into Frankenstein monsters through genetic breeding and through mutilations which would make most people vomit. PETA's toughest job really is to bring these hideous images to people, not to ruin their day, but to educate them and help alleviate this suffering.
Mathews' love of animals started when he was young. He became a vegetarian at the age of 12 when he went fishing with his father and found the experience cruel.
I just thought, what am I doing invading their world with these nasty hooks?
Now, 18 years later, Mathews says no act of mercy is too extreme.
Is that true? Do you not kill cockroaches?
I bring them outside myself.
You catch a cockroach and free it outside?
Yeah, I never thought it was attractive to squish them up.
Can you understand how somebody listening to you might think, this guy's kind of wacky?
Yeah, used to it. We are not out here to win popularity contests. We're here to make people think. Our methods are very loud. Our methods are very obnoxious. But our methods have been effective. That's why we first, I think, got in touch with you.
I would have been rather more discreet about it, to be honest. But, Dan wants me to do stuff, and I will do that.
Supermodel Naomi Campbell, one of the first to pose for PETA's Naked campaign.
But PETA isn't just against fur, it's against leather and suede and silk. The most prominent out of all of it is fur. Do you eat meat? I eat chicken. Do you wear leather and suede? Yeah.
It's publicity for them.
Karen Handel of the Fur Information Council of America.
These women and the other celebrities that sign on to this misguided notion from PETA, A, they're uneducated about the agenda, B, they're hypocrites in the whole process, and C, they need to have publicity to keep their careers alive.
We're actually undercover in a bunch of circuses right now.
Of course, movie stars and models who can easily earn $10,000 a day may not agree. In fact, they say they're supporting an important cause and doing it for free. But PETA's campaign isn't just glitzy and glamorous. It is gory. PETA distributes this video showing what it claims happens on fur farms and in the wild. It is free to anyone who will take it.
There are foxes who are anally electrocuted. Beavers are often drowned in underwater traps because it's the easiest place to set them near where they live. It's a horror story out there. It's a parade of blood.
I have seen the tape.
It's a very disturbing tape. You have to agree that anybody seeing that is going to be bothered.
Well, I think that any time you are talking about the process by which an animal is euthanized, it's not something that people generally want to discuss. But with PETA, that's not the issue. They don't care how the animal is euthanized. They don't want the animal used for anything, period.
We have no hidden agenda. We don't want cleaner cages, we want empty cages.
Karl Lagerfeld, designer of death.
What PETA wants, at least for now, or as a first step, is for people to stop wearing fur. And if they can't convert you, they'll try to intimidate you.
You should be ashamed of yourself, supporting torture and death.
Your strategy is to make it so uncomfortable for people who choose to wear fur that they're intimidated into not wearing that coat.
That is a big part of it, yes, absolutely.
That's not freedom of choice.
It's freedom of speech. All this freedom in America, isn't it wonderful?
Seems like you're trying to use it.
Absolutely.
You can't have it both ways, though.
Well, I think we've got it both ways. And PETA certainly pushes the boundaries of those rights. But I think we're certainly staying within the Constitution.
The tactics may be legal, but they can also be offensive.
One of the ads that also got a lot of attention was an ad that you took out in a Milwaukee newspaper after serial killer Jeffrey Dahmer was arrested. And in that ad, you detailed the tortures and slaying of Dahmer's victims and then compared that to the slaughter of animals.
It's very disturbing. It's true. What happened to those people is disgusting. What happens to animals is disgusting.
And you're comparing the two. You think there's no difference between what happened to Dahmer's victims and what's happening to animals in slaughterhouses?
They were drugged. They were dragged to their deaths. Their body parts were stored in a freezer to be eaten later. That happens in the meat trade every day, and Jeffrey Dahmer did it to people.
What upsets some of your critics most is your stand against using animals for medical testing.
I would never condone anything be done to an animal that I wouldn't do myself. And when I've learned how animals are burned, scalded, blinded, and mutilated in laboratories.
Animal research had to do with a polio vaccine, tuberculosis treatments, smallpox treatment, arthritis and diabetes treatments. We can do heart bypass surgery now because of animal research.
Yes, but we don't need to do heart bypass surgery if people are educated about how to avoid it in the first place. I think prevention is the real key here.
The fact of the matter is, Dan, you're not a doctor. And doctors who have the education, many of them are saying, we must test these animals in order to find a treatment
And
or
many
a
of them
cure.
aren't. Many of them are not.
Although PETA says it's never destroyed any animal research labs, Dan Mathews admits PETA sends out press releases for the group that has, the Animal Liberation Front, known as the ALF. The FBI is currently investigating terrorist actions by people claiming to be ALF members.
We have acted as the mouthpiece for the ALF upon occasion.
You don't think that's collusion with somebody who's committing an illegal act?
No, not at all. Whenever I hear about animals being taken out of a laboratory and nursed back to health or set free, I get a big smile on my face.
So are his tactics working? Fewer people are buying fur than 10 years ago, but in the past 2 winters, fur sales are up. Fewer designers are using fur, but they say that has nothing to do with PETA. Designer Marc Jacobs still uses fur.
The real reason that I think that a lot of people stopped doing fur is because they thought it was trendier not to do it.
Perhaps that is Mathews' success, that animal rights has become trendy. And whether or not people agree with PETA, they are now aware of the issue.
Some of your critics have said, you know what, Dan Mathews is a charismatic, savvy, smart, committed man. Why not use your energy to address homelessness or poverty or some of the social ills in society that are affecting people?
Well, I am your basic bleeding heart. Animals have been ignored for too long, just as women have been ignored, just as blacks and other minorities have been ignored. I see animals as maybe the final frontier of social evolution.
So what does Dan Mathews actually wear if he's anti-leather, anti-wool, and anti-silk? Vinyl, plastic, and cotton.